You see firsthand the need. Speak appropriately to the need out there as a consequence of what this administration is doing, and what will happen to folks at midnight tonight.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for having me to talk about such an important thing. I mean, the impact that Head Start has had on millions of Americans over the last 60 years is so powerful, as you noted. And I think it's important to acknowledge it's easy to sit here and say we need to put the blame on the president, on Republicans, on Democrats, on this, that, or the other. The reality is kids and families are being hurt. We need to cut away all of this conversation about blaming this, blaming that, and find a way to move forward. I mean, we're hearing what the mayor was saying about the impact of not having SNAP benefits on children and families in Atlanta. We've heard about it around the country. If the government shutdown does not end by Monday morning, we're going to be having up to 65,000 children and families who are at 160 Head Start programs. There's 1,600 Head Start programs around the country. So for those parents and staff that are tuning in, check in with your local Head Start providers to see what the status is. But we need to make sure that those programs can continue to operate. And that's something Congress and the president need to come together to figure out a solution for.
It is just, it is galling. Jill, excuse me, I don't know if I'm choked up or just choking over here. Maybe all of the above. Jill, we have this latest news from the president now saying he would be happy to fund SNAP benefits now, just like he's done for the military, if they get the legal guidance. And I'm struck by, because I was searching, I didn't see where they got legal guidance for funding the military, yet they made sure military families have not gone without. The impact of the reality of the situation is at midnight tonight, there will not be additional funds loaded onto people's EBT cards. Let's just say a judge comes back tomorrow. It is going to take a couple days before those funds can make it onto the cards. It is whatever the state governments have done, the local leaders have done, those funds will be there, but what the federal government is able to do, that money will not be present. What does that mean for folks in New Mexico and all across your state?
This is honestly the most horrifying roller coaster ride. And it is just incredibly inhumane to have people wondering from one moment to the next whether or not the money is going to be there, whether or not they'll be able to go to the grocery store tomorrow. Folks who are struggling to make ends meet, who are stretching every single dollar, make plans so far in advance to try to figure out where they can be resourced to make sure that their elders are taken care of, that disabled family member they're caring for has what they need, and most of all, our children, our enlisted service members. It is so critical that tomorrow people know where they're getting food. And we see that fear that this is provoking every single day. We see lines of cars, people that have young children in them, people who work, people who earn a living and pay taxes and care for their elders. And as a community, we are rising to give them an option and give them some idea, some light, some hope about where they're coming. And I just wish everyone could participate in that and see that and take the power that they have in this moment to make things better for their neighbor. We're packing pinto beans in this warehouse tomorrow. We're going to do the best we can to stand on that line. We're making boxes of food to hand out next week. That's what you see behind me here today. And that's what food bankers are doing to hold the line. And I invite everyone else to prioritize the fact that food deserves to be on the table of every single person in this country.
And it is a reminder, Tommy, of why we need a social safety net, and of why, even though there are good neighbors, like the folks in New Mexico who are stepping up to meet the need, they simply cannot do it at the scale of the federal government. You know, I live in a community. It is a mixed income community. About 1 in 5 of the people who live in my community live below the poverty line. And today, as I was getting my kids ready for Halloween, I was emptying their backpacks, and I found this letter from the superintendent of the school, which basically says to parents and guardians in English and in Spanish, like, listen, we know you guys are really worried about SNAP. And we want you to understand that we, the school district, are here for you. There's a number of resources they list, but they say, If your family's food insecure, reach out to your child's school counselor, reach out to their principal. That is beautiful. And it should not be the role of educators to have to worry first and foremost about whether or not their kids are being fed, right? They should be focused on the education of their child. They cannot do that. They cannot provide for their classrooms, Tommy, if their kids are coming to school hungry. What is happening with Head Start, what is happening with SNAP, they are not separate issues. They are joint issues that are on a collision course.
Yeah, and they also are issues that add to each other, right? I mean, Head Start oftentimes is the place where many children rely on for a nutritious meal. It's where they get access to health screenings, where they get access to dental screenings, where if they have special needs, they're able to be connected to services. And that impact is going to be felt very deeply if this shutdown continues. I think it's also important to acknowledge the parents, the families. I mean, they're working multiple jobs, trying to make ends meet. They are going to school, to trade schools, to technical colleges, all of these things. And what are they going to do if they can't rely on Head Start? It's really scary, and we really need the Congress and the administration to come together and figure out a pathway forward that's suitable for all Americans.
Joe, how do states adapt at this time? I mean, the stresses and strains on state budgets, given all the other things that they are now having to be concerned about, given what has already happened to the federal government and various other programs that states have come to rely on or need to do their business. How does that play out right now when it comes to something like this? Because there's a stressing point for a lot of states at this point. And the food banks can only go but so far. That's an incredible and important work. But we all know these programs exist because at a certain point there's a diminishing return in terms of how you can turn around to meet the need.
Absolutely. That's such an incredible point. And I'm so proud to be a New Mexican and to be in a state where our executive branch and our legislative branch are operating in lockstep with community-based organizations to solve these really complex problems. On Wednesday, our state government stepped forward and said that they would create a bridge program to make sure that SNAP benefits were covered for 10 days, starting November 1, and that there was more to come if that was the case. And they said we had saved for a rainy day and it's pouring, and we are going to step in and make sure that New Mexicans don't go hungry. I think that there's so many progressive, insightful, holistic policies that New Mexico has really put on the table over the last several years to diminish the amount of food insecurity in our communities that other states could be looking to as an example. But every state is in a different situation financially, and it's crushing to know that while we may have a little breathing room, other states do not. And there is nothing that separates us. We're all human beings. All of our children deserve to get fed. All of our people deserve to not worry about where their next meal is coming from. So I think New Mexico can lead and is leading in that place. But there's so much work to be done by so many states. And the bottom line is that this program, the SNAP program, is a social contract. It's a federal program, and we had plans. It's been funded. It's never been interrupted before in our history. And this is not a trading card. People's lives, their health, their ability to feed themselves is not something to be bartered with.